computer. Sorry about that. So yeah, so they'll be going over some tips, strategies, and personal experiences to help you successfully navigate the application process and take the next steps toward your STEM career. These programs offer incredible hands-on experience working alongside leading research scientists and engineers. And like I said, we are so thrilled to have NASA employees Lisa Wininger, who is the student engagement specialist for NASA. Um, MAIANSE program, which funds research and internships for students attending tribal colleges, university, AISES members, and Sativa Cruz, who is the applied scientist in the Earth Science Division at NASA. Ames Research Center. So they each bring their personal experiences and they'll share their journeys with you. And just letting you guys know, this webinar will be recorded and we will have it posted onto our AISES YouTube channel. And at the end of this discussion, there will be 15 minutes to go over any questions if you guys have any questions for them. So at this time, I would like to turn things over to Lisa, who will be leading today's discussion.
Thank you, Taylor. That was a wonderful introduction. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, hopefully with success, so that we can see the PowerPoint. And Taylor, can you give me a heads up if the PowerPoint is visible?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So again, thank you so much for joining us today. We're really excited to talk to you about opportunities for students at NASA. I'm going to do just a real brief NASA 101. Sativa is going to talk to you about her experiences and the wonderful work that she and her team are working on. And then we'll go back into the nuts and bolts of how to successfully apply for an internship at NASA. So just really quickly, I work for a team that's called MAIANSE. So our main focus is working with Native American students, Alaskan Natives, Hawaiian Natives, and also students who are in attendance at, who belong to AISES. This is our very small team, small, but we get an awful lot done. Some of you may have run into us at the national conference in San Antonio this last October, and we had a really nice representation from our NASA crew, and a lot of our people who are there speaking with students about opportunities with NASA are also part of our Natives at NASA employee resource group. So it was really nice to have the opportunity to meet so many people and to have them meet our folks as well. Just very quickly, NASA is all around the country. All these little dots you can see are places where we have NASA centers, and different kinds of missions and different parts of missions occur in all the different centers. You know, some are more specialized, like Kennedy is very well known for launching things, and Houston for astronauts, and JPL for uncrewed missions into space. But so when we work at NASA, we work all over the place and we do all kinds of different interesting tasks. I'm not going to read all of this to you, but if you want to know what it is exactly that NASA does, it isn't just putting people up into space. One of our goals is to expand human knowledge through new scientific discoveries. So understanding not only our planet, but the solar system, the universe, and making that data available to everyone. We're looking at how do we extend our presence to the moon and beyond the moon on toward Mars. And so there's a lot of exploration going on in those areas. And lately, you'll probably have heard too, we've done a bunch of stuff related to the sun. So finding out information that isn't going to be found out any other way that has value to humankind in essence. Another thing is we have to invent and create a lot of different things and processes to create whole new ways of exploring. And so there's a lot of innovation and design and invention that's involved in that. That's one of NASA's goals. And then finally, to be able to look for a workforce, people that can do these novel kinds of missions and projects. And to do that, we need to attract people that are curious and people that are inventive and people that are interested in kind of like looking beyond and building the next generation of explorers. And one of those, the ways that we get people introduced to what NASA does is through the internship program. And I'm going to pass it over to Sativa, and she's going to talk about her experience with NASA.
Thank you, Lisa. Umbiat Gindi. Tampoviki no toa hawe, Sativa Cruz Americana hawe, Oga poge wenge here. Oke wenge iweri onomu. Hi, everyone. My name is Sativa. I'm an applied scientist with NASA Ames Research Center. I'm Tewa and Hernisero and a member of Oke Wenge Pueblo, and I'm based in beautiful Oga poge wenge, which is Santa Fe, New Mexico. So,
Sorry.
no worries. I
When
thought I had
moving the
control of the slides. So I just wanted to start this presentation. One, thank you all for joining and expressing your interest in NASA. And I want to share this beautiful imagery of where I'm from and kind of show the seasonality and the changes that happen over time. So my tribe is located right at the confluence of the Rio Chama and the Rio Grande. And I was raised just about 45 minutes south in Santa Fe. And, these lands have taught me and raised me. And I just wanted to show one example of the way NASA data can kind of capture that story of home. So as Lisa mentioned, when you mention NASA, all these wonderful things such as space and, the other planets and beyond come to mind. And that is absolutely a big part of what happens at NASA. Go ahead. But we also spend a lot of time studying and trying to understand our home planet, Earth. This is an image that shows currently operating and future plans for our science fleet, instruments, satellites, things we send out into orbit to learn more about the world and planets and the sun and things around. So again, I am in the Earth Science Division, and this is a group of the missions, kind of since the start until into the future of missions that are planned. Each of these satellites containing sensors that collect different information about our planet. So we'll go ahead and go to the next. I wanted to show this short video. Hopefully it plays for you, just to give you an idea of the orbits of the different satellites that are going around our planet daily. So there's this, network of information collecting satellites just constantly going around. So a lot of people aren't aware of these different things. And so for me, coming into NASA was exciting to learn about all the information that's being gathered. Okay. And I will talk a little bit more about my background, my academic background, and my journey to NASA toward the end of this presentation. But really, NASA Earth Science Division is all about studying the Earth as a system or a system of systems. So you can see here this beautiful graphic just demonstrating different aspects of our dynamic and beautiful planet, our beautiful home, things such as the composition of the atmosphere, the cycling of carbon and ecosystems, climate variability of water and energy cycles, Earth's surface and interior systems, and weather and atmospheric dynamics. So you can see that our planet is very dynamic and ultimately connected across sky and land. And just to orient you to the Earth Science Division, there's different elements within the Earth Science Division. We have technology, flight, research analysis, data and modeling, and Earth action. And so all of these elements come together to form the Earth Science Division. And my work in the Indigenous Peoples Initiative really falls in the Earth action part of the program. And so I'll talk about that a little bit more now. So within Earth Action, we have different elements, one being RSET, another Develop, Severe, and the Indigenous Peoples Initiative. And these are all capacity building programs. So about getting the science into the hands of communities, decision makers, etc. And RSET, which is one of the programs that I work with in the conservation ecology part of ARSET, offers trainings, remote sensing trainings, use of NASA Earth observations, data, and tools. We provide both in-person and webinar-like trainings, and we have a global reach through that program. Develop is another sort of internship opportunity for early career professionals, or graduate students also participate. This is a 10-week program. It's interdisciplinary and really is a unique capacity building program within Earth Action. Severe is our international kind of arm of capacity building and partners with organizations such as USAID to provide and develop innovative solutions to improve livelihoods across the world. And then the Indigenous Peoples Initiative, which is my primary program, is able to provide place-based remote sensing training programs for tribal natural resource professionals. And so I'll talk more about that here in a second. So, this might be a little bit hard to read, but ARSET is, it exists to empower the global community through training. We're able to provide cost-free trainings on remote sensing, satellite sensors, methods, and tools. As I mentioned, it is both online and in person. And to date, we're actually missing a year because we're compiling those numbers now. But there's been over 180 trainings with over 100,000 participants from around the world. So quite the network and reach there. And the Indigenous Peoples Initiative is a unique group. These are my colleagues I work with for other wonderful, wonderful people in the program. And we work to engage and support Indigenous communities through things such as listening sessions, conferences, and the trainings that I had mentioned before. We really work to bring a co-development framework to the work that we do, and also offer in-person and online trainings. And we work closely with Indigenous partners to create content that's relevant to communities. So that is the Indigenous Peoples Initiative.
Sativa, can you give us a couple of examples of locations where you've had the opportunity to do these events or listening sessions?
Yeah, those are actually, I think some of the next slides include. Yeah,
Sorry about that.
No, of course. So yeah, we train on a variety of themes. Thank you, Lisa, for that question. It's been really fun to be in very different types of environments. Each tribe is unique. Their lands, again, we're constantly learning as a group, and really the real experts are the community members who've been in place forever. But some of the themes that we've been able to train on are fires, wildfires, biodiversity and ecological conservation, water resources, disasters, climate adaptation, and resilience. And so some examples of that, for wildland fires, we've been able to work with the Karuk Department of Natural Resources to provide a remote sensing training for using Earth observations to support their prescribed and cultural burning, really looking at the burn impact of some major fires that happened a few years ago. We've been able to provide a drone training to support wetland mapping and particularly support wild rice cultivation. We've worked with the Samish Indian Nation for mapping kelp with some knowledge keepers and a variety of other things. So depending on who we are collaborating with, we tailor that training, and really, again, the co-development model of tying together that local knowledge as appropriate and the remote sensing data that's information.
I really like that. I just wanted to say, I should have mentioned at the beginning, our colleague Aaron Yazzie, who is at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena. He was meant to join us today, and his neighborhood was impacted by the wildfires burning in Southern California, and he sends his regrets, and we send our best wishes to Aaron and as he moves forward through this time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's becoming, more common. So yeah, fires is definitely something that our team is seeing a lot of interest in from communities. So thank you, Lisa. Yeah, we miss you, Aaron. Next time, we'll get you on here next time. So one really great conference that I was able to participate in earlier this fall was the National Tribal and Indigenous Climate Change Conference in Anchorage, Alaska. It's my first time in Alaska. It's so beautiful over there. This was a really big conference. So in total, both in person and online, there were 800 people in attendance representing 275 tribes, villages, and Indigenous communities with 20 countries represented. So it was, again, quite a large conference. And we hosted a half-day workshop on mapping the extremes, NASA Earth observations to support climate change stories. And so there I was able to tie in some of the work that I've done closer to home around actually burn severity mapping of the Hermit's Peak fire, which happened in 2022 in the Sangre de Cristo Mountains, which is the mountain range to the east of where I live. And so it had a severe impact on many communities, and it holds a great cultural significance for Pueblos and I'm sure other Indigenous communities in the area. So that was a really great opportunity to share that work. While I was there with my colleague Victoria in Alaska, Amber and Nikki from my team were in Australia, and they were presenting at the Indigenous Mapping Workshop. And so here they were able to collaborate with Geoscience Australia, Google, and others to create a training series that highlighted Earth observations for healthy country monitoring. And so this really, focused on different types of environmental concerns such as droughts, surface water availability, land cover change, etc. And so they had, I'm sure, a really wonderful time there, and also were able to meet with some high school students to speak about the importance of Indigenous worldviews in STEM. So I'm really happy that my team was able to travel so far and share this work. So we do a lot of work US-based tribes and communities, but we also have the opportunity to work internationally sometimes.
And I think that you're getting back into my part, but was there anything else you wanted to share at this time, or are there any questions that we have right now before we move on for Sativa?
Yes, I wanted to share a little bit. I didn't have slides for it, but about my academic background and sort of my journey to NASA, just to give you all who are tuned in an idea of how I got here. And if there are any questions, I'd love to answer them. So I studied environmental science in college at New Mexico State University and focused on sustainability. Had a lot of opportunity to do research while I was there. Really loved being outdoors and wanted to think about what my life could look like in the environmental sciences. I went on to grad school at Oregon State University and studied forest ecosystems and society. It was really a great place to be, kind of the perfect place for forestry. so green, so gorgeous up in that area. And then I got really homesick and decided I needed to move back home. And so I joined a program called Teach for America and was able to move into a teaching position for 7th grade science in Espanola, New Mexico, really close to where my tribe is. Essentially, it's in the same area. So I taught for 2 years. The pandemic occurred, of course, crazy times. And from there, continued teaching. I moved to Santa Fe after 2 years in Espanola, taught 1 more year in Santa Fe. And then I was thinking, okay, things are changing. What's the next step here? NASA has always been an organization that I've admired since I was a young girl. My 6th grade teacher she was all about teaching her class about Mars exploration, but she was also very much a Earth lover. And I'll say she, grew up in the 70s, and she just a beautiful person. And she had us do this exercise. I know I'm going a little bit on a tangent here, but she had us do this exercise to think about what we would take with us if we moved to Mars. And, I had a real hard time with that exercise because I didn't want to leave our home. And there's so many beautiful things here that I wish I could take, the rivers, the mountains, etc. Like, how do you take those? You can't. They are here, and they've, been what sustain us and what bring us joy and take care of us. So that seed was planted early on about space exploration, but it also had me thinking about, okay, how do we take care of what we have here? So I applied to a few internships, just thinking about what I would do after teaching, because I knew I wanted to be a scientist in practice, even though education is close to my heart. And I got an internship with NASA headquarters, and I supported some of the environmental justice efforts that were being done around 2021. And so I was able to do interviews. I was able to support a global hackathon around environmental justice and coming up with innovative solutions to supporting many of the environmental challenges we have. And in that journey, I met Cindy Schmidt, who was really the person who championed and launched the Indigenous Peoples Initiative. And she invited me to continue on in an internship for another semester, and it ultimately led to my job now as an applied scientist. So I am just completed 3 years with the program. So it's been a little bit of a windy road, but I'm grateful that I'm here. And so I'm going to take a look at these questions that are here. Give me just a sec, see if I could answer any of them, and then I'll pass it back to you, Lisa. So
I really enjoy the story of your path, though, because it's important to note that no one seems to ever go in a straight line from A to B to C. There's always detours and little kind of windy paths that we have to take.
Absolutely. And be open to possibilities. I never thought I would be at NASA, but I'll say Jose Hernandez, who is an astronaut at NASA, there's a wonderful documentary about his life. He came and visited my students in Espanola and really through the whole valley. There was a big group of youth. And his story inspired me, even being older and having went to school. So I guess just be open to any possibility. And you're already here showing interest in NASA, which is really cool. And Savannah, I just want to answer your question about, so will there be any type of internship for virtual work in the AI tech sector? I can't speak to that one in particular. Maybe Lisa has a better answer there, but I can answer your second question about opportunities for virtual training. Yes, AISES offers many, many webinars throughout the year, and you can go on and get on their mailing list, and you could get regular updates as to when we're offering those trainings in a variety of areas. Most of our trainings are online versus in person. So certainly get on there and keep learning. IPI, we sometimes collaborate with AISES, or we are able to offer online trainings, and that could be through something like the Institute for Tribal Environmental Professionals, ITEP. So keep an eye out for us as well. And so you can certainly participate in the trainings virtually as a non-US citizen. So would be happy to have you join us, Savannah. And then with that, I will pass it to Lisa. Thank you.
Thank you. That was really, really interesting for me. I didn't even know your whole, history or whatever. I'll just talk about internships because that's more my specialty. So there are lots of ways for students to become involved at NASA. The one I'm going to focus on today, given our time constraints, are internships that come through the Office of STEM Engagement, and we call that OSTEM. And let's see if I can get my little short video to play for you.
I study how nitrogen functions in.
Hi, my name is Claudia Bernier.
My name is Matthew.
Mi nombre es Miguel Marcelino.
My name is Ali Hyder.
Hi, Cos Christine.
Bashir Makia.
Cos Catalano.
S. Von Ruden.
My name is Sarah Adabumi, and I am a NASA intern.
Jesse Moody, and I'm a NASA intern.
Pathways Engineering intern.
I'm a NASA intern.
I'm a NASA intern at NASA Kennedy Space Center.
At Ames Research Center.
NASA Langley in Virginia.
At Goddard Space Flight Center.
OZ Department at Johnson Space Center.
Of the Human Factors Engineering team at the Marshall Space Flight Center.
My name is Tina Shermer, and I'm a Pathways intern at NASA's Glenn Research Center.
I'm Jamarius Reed, and I'm a NASA intern for the Office of STEM Engagement, working in the Aeronautics Directorate at NASA Ames Research Center.
My name is Courtney Goldman, and I'm a NASA OSTEM intern at a Kennedy Space Center.
I'm currently working with the Psychophysiology Research Lab.
I study how nitrogen functions in extreme environments.
In bioinformatics for spacecraft production.
The synthesis analysis of multidimensional ozone measurements.
I supported the X-59 Quest low boom flight demonstrator project.
I decided to apply to a NASA internship because it sounded like the chance of a lifetime to work alongside the innovators and pioneers at NASA.
We get invited to lectures from astronauts, inspiring researchers, and get to hear about smaller missions that I wouldn't have known about.
And being able to work with all of the amazing people here has truly been out of this world.
I like feeling like I'm contributing to something bigger than just me.
All the different projects that they're funding or different projects that they're investing their resources in is really inspiring.
And NASA did an excellent job providing me with meaningful work and making sure that everyone on the team felt included and involved.
From daily or weekly check-ins, my mentors guided and advised me through my projects and any help that I needed.
I feel that NASA is a source of innovation and inspiration for people of all ages and backgrounds.
But you're also around people that are humble, driven, again, passionate, really coming to work, wanting to work because they care so much about this goal, this mission.
And all NASA wants to see is that you share that passion as well.
I always remain persistent. Everything doesn't happen the moment you want it to happen. Everything happens when it's supposed to happen. So if you apply 2 or 3 times and you don't get accepted, keep trying.
We are the Artemis generation, and I am proud and so grateful to take part in getting the next man and the first woman to the moon.
NASA welcomes everyone. It welcomes you.
If you're interested in NASA at all, apply online today. I did not think that I could get an internship with NASA, but I applied anyway, and so I think you should too.
Hey, there we go. So just a little bit of, kind of data about this is the OSTEM internships are the ones that we have the most of. They operate year-round, summer, fall, and spring. And I want to be really clear that for instance, if you're looking at summer, we have opportunities that are full-time. We don't do part-time internships in the summer for the most part. Those are mainly for during the school term, but they can be in person at a center, but there are many opportunities that are also remote. You can do them virtually from where you are. And some of them allow you the opportunity to come to a center for a certain amount of time, but do the bulk of your internship remotely, and those are hybrids. You can, if you get an internship, you can apply again for another internship in the same area or a different area. But what we mainly are looking for is, you have to get a general OSTEM internship, you need to be a U.S. citizen, you need to be enrolled in school, you need to have a grade point average of at least 3.0. And there's some links in here. You will have the recording, but you'll also have, or AISES will provide you with this slideshow as well. So if we're looking at just internships in general, you're going to go to the link and it's going to ask you to look for internship openings. That's what they call them. And this is what the page looks like. It's kind of weird on the screen, but it will tell you what the internship is about and the key details, and it'll have a number and it'll have a name and it will have a description. And you might look at that and say, okay, I don't know anything about it, but it's something I might be interested in doing. And so you would go ahead then and decide that you want to hit the red apply button. And that takes you into the wonderful world of Gateway. Some of you, I've seen your names already in Gateway, so you know how this works. But Gateway is going to ask you for a series of pieces of information. So you're basically assembling kind of like a portfolio for yourself. And it'll ask you things like your GPA and where you go to school and what your major is. It will ask you to have transcripts. And by the way, if you only have unofficial transcripts, that's fine. What your skills might be, what languages you speak. It will ask you to make a personal statement. And if you are an AISES member, I would really highly encourage you to put the word AISES in your personal statement, because then our mentors can search for you through our MAIANSE program as being eligible for funding through our program. So you'll kind of put information in, and then you'll click through each one of these boxes. It seems like a lot, and it's a fair amount of stuff. But like a resume can be one page. It doesn't have to be, a whole book or encyclopedia or whatever. But once you have a Gateway account with all this information, it's good for however long you want to apply for internships. And all you would need to do is provide updates if there were updated transcripts or work history or anything like that. So when you get all the way done, you can see all these little bubbles are turned green for the most part. The single biggest concern I have is students who have gotten 99% of the way through an application. And they may have applied for 4 or 5 or 10 internships and they don't submit it. So please submit your applications. And it would be a service to me if you're interested in keeping connected with me to drop me an email and let me know that you've applied and what you've applied for. And that way I kind of keep track on where the different applications are. Okay, so this is just kind of an FYI. The deadline for applying for summer is the end of February. The deadline for all of the scientists and engineer mentors to have openings in the system is the end of January. And as soon as they post their openings, they are going to be looking for students who are eligible, they would be interested in talking to. So the sooner you can finalize an application, the better it will be. And I already indicated, make sure it's complete. If you're an AISES, put that in there. Please remember that there probably will be many opportunities that you don't already know how to do. That's the point of the internship. It's a learning experience for you. So it's generally in your field, or maybe it isn't even in your field, but it's something you'd like to learn more about. That is the point of doing an internship. Make sure your resume has your work experience, even if it doesn't have anything to do with what you're applying for. And if you would be so kind as to put both a school email and a personal email, because some people don't check their school emails as regularly as they do their personal emails. And we've been known to text you as well. This is a slide with a lot of information. I just wanted to give you some ideas. So at the MAIANSE program, we do have a number of opportunities that have been submitted to us from mentors who are members of the Natives at NASA Employee Resource Group. And we really like to work with them because they really would like to work with you. And Sativa has talked a lot about the earth science, remote sensing. We have a lot of things that are related to aeronautics, urban air mobility, advanced air mobility, electrified propulsion. So you can see some of these are very engineering oriented. Some of them are very science oriented. Others are more computer science or data science oriented. And sometimes we even have ones that are communications oriented. So this year, for the first time, we're listing some health related internships. And those are based out of Johnson Space Center in Houston, because that's where the astronaut program is based, and obviously they'll be very concerned with human health in space. I put in Indigenous IPI, Indigenous Perspectives Initiative, and also mission planning. So just generally learning about missions, whether it be for large-scale missions or small satellite missions or sounding rockets. So there's a huge range of opportunities. There are hundreds and hundreds of openings, not all of which will be filled. Just because there's so many, and the funding has some restrictions to it. But to be eligible for funding through MAIANSE, as I said before, you can be a member of AISES, you can attend a tribal college or university, an institution that serves primarily Alaskan Natives or Native Hawaiians, or, not or colleges that are mainly tribal serving, but they're not tribally affiliated. And there's so many acronyms. It's hard for me sometimes to keep track of them myself. And this is what I do for a living. If you go in and look at an internship application and you're not sure what it is, please contact me. You can text or email. That's fine. I'll be happy to talk to the mentor and then come back to you. I would really advise applying for more than one opening. A lot of people apply, so you have a better shot if you have more than one. And then just be flexible. It may be you apply for 5 things and a mentor reaches out and says, I want to interview you for a 6th thing. I would say, the opportunity to kind of like be involved at NASA and, we say get your foot in the door, which sounds kind of painful, but, to just become engaged with NASA. And once you do that, you meet people and you have opportunities, and that can start taking you down that path that Sativa was talking about, which is I started here, but then I saw that and I thought that was super interesting. So I'm going to try and progress in those areas. And I've seen that happen a number of times with interns. Okay. So this is our MAIANSE QR code, and some of you have already used it. So thank you so much. If you want to connect directly with me and let me know what it is that you are interested in interning, this is a short, I don't know, 8 questions or something about yourself, who you are, where you go to school, what you want to study. And then you'll have a direct link back to me, and I'll put you on our shared list that we have with mentors of eligible students who could be funded through our MAIANSE program. So that's QR code. And then there's lots of things. I didn't talk at NASA at all about pathways or career opportunities, but if you go to any of these links, you'll be able to learn more about it. But I think it's a good thing I didn't, because we're going to be short on time here, but lots and lots of things to do at NASA. And this last summer, for instance, we had a student from Haskell who came on in the communications group through a MAIANSE internship, and she's still interning with the communication folks and putting out all kinds of interesting communications projects and getting to work with rappers and stuff. So, it's like sometimes the thing about NASA, you just never know who you're going to run into. Okay, so this is just my conclusion, which is that if you need help, I am your contact if you are coming in through AISES. And that is what I'm here to do, which is to help you and answer your questions. And if you get stuck on an application, you're not sure what is being asked, please reach out. We're here to help you. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and we are going to see if we've got questions either in the chat, or I don't know if this is enabled where you can unmute yourself. Taylor, can they just unmute and talk?
Yeah, they should be able to.
Okay, so question away. You've got both Sativa and me. Caroline Montgomery, who is my colleague in MAIANSE, is also on, and we're happy to answer any questions you have about any of this.
Hi, Lisa. My name is Nakai Sosi. I created my gateway, everything, and I applied for an internship. And I've tried going on the website. Is there any way I can fix a couple things? Like I'm looking back and I'm like, I didn't put AISES in my personal statement. And now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, maybe I should change that a little bit more. And then I just got new transcripts, so I want to upload those as well.
Absolutely. So things that are like text, you can just go back and edit. There's an edit feature, and please put that AISES in here because it's one of the key things that we search for. And then in terms of transcripts, you just upload the additional transcripts and we'll just pull the most recent ones. But, for instance, I just had a mentor reach out and say, I'm really interested in this student, but their transcripts are from like last summer. Can you get to them and say, we need the most updated transcript? So clearly they're looking for it. So please do that. What is your first name again?
Nakai, N-A-A-K-A-I-I.
Okay, awesome. I will keep a lookout. This is kind of what I do. I just kind of keep a list of who I'm looking for in Gateway. Great. Anything else?
Yes. So I have seen that NASA does offer fellowships as well. Is there any way you would recommend applying for those, or is an internship a good stepping stone to say, hey, I'm in the door, I get to know people, and then get to know fellowship opportunities, or how would that work?
You're a college student right now?
Yes.
Okay, so your best bet is to start with an internship. Not that you can't apply for other things, but there are way more opportunities. And as opposed like the funding that we have for Indigenous students, that's what it is. It's for internships.
Okay.
But if you would do me a little bit of a favor, I say this to everybody, once you get your application updated, you can just drop me a quick email and say, Lisa, I'm in. And that way we can start to go back and forth and I can see who you've applied for.
Awesome. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
Lisa, there's a question in the chat from Savannah about would a person be eligible if in the process of getting U.S. citizenship or only once they've obtained it? Also confirming that a work visa would not be sufficient.
Okay, great. Yeah, and I do have an answer to that. At present, the only center that has a mechanism for international students that don't have American citizenship yet is the Jet Propulsion Lab. And they do a fair number of internships, and we've also funded students there. But once you've actually gotten your citizenship, then you're fully, you can go for all the other internships as well. A visa is not the same. We're not allowed to use that in lieu of full citizenship. I'm sorry to say that, but JPL is a great opportunity. And other centers are working on it. That's the only one I know. And Caroline, I'm not sure if you're still on. Are you aware of any other centers that have international student internships?
Caroline did have to run.
Yes.
But I will say just so you know, Savannah, JPL offers their internships through their own website. I do not believe they are in Gateway, if I'm correct there.
Yes, go to JPL, but if they end up being in a situation where they want to use our funding, then they'll reach back out to us. Right now is a really bad time for them. So we will see what happens as the winter and spring progress. But yeah, that's how that works. You're welcome. Okay, I'm just going to start calling on folks because I see Tabitha Patrick there, and I think it's Tabby, and I have seen your application in Gateway, correct?
Maybe. I don't know if I finished it or not.
Oh.
One of the questions I had here, I'll start my video here. Here we go. Was when I go on the website, I'm a little bit overwhelmed on like how many different internships there are.
Yes.
And I guess I was asking, what do you recommend is the best way to navigate to find the things that I'm interested in, to like kind of narrow it down or figure out which ones I want to apply to?
Well, you're right. It is intimidating how many ones are out there. There's a couple of different aspects. I'm going to be really practical. You can limit it immediately by if you only want in person or you only want remote because they're designated that way. You can also look at where the internship is located because I have students who say I'm based on the West and I want to have an internship in the West, and that's totally fine too. And then I would say, depending on what you're majoring in, because if you're looking more into the sciences or you're looking into engineering or you're looking into data science or those kinds of things, then you can look for opportunities that are geared in that direction, unless you want to try something completely out of, your wheelhouse or whatever. I will say that a lot of students apply for 5 or 6, but when I see your completed application in Gateway, then I will also look to match it up with the mentors that we've already identified through MAIANSE and see what looks like it might be a good match for you as well.
Okay. And then whenever I'm navigating through the website, there's like 2 different screens I have seen. And one is like this big list of all of them, and it says like internships, and then I can like search the list. But then there was another screen, and I have a hard time. I don't know which one I'm supposed to navigate through, where it has a lot less internships listed, and I'm not sure if that's something else. But and so should I search through this like big list and just look up like keywords in the search the list option, or?
If you're looking for this coming summer, it's the big long list. Here's the tricky bit about Gateway. It has every opportunity that our Office of STEM Engagement offers. It has classes. It has like specialty, like programs that only certain like colleges are signed up for. So when you look at it, you're going to look at just internships in general. And you're right, there are hundreds of them. So I would really start by trying to search ones that are in your interest area. And remember, it doesn't have to be what you're doing right now. It might be something you think, oh, in the future, I'd be interested in learning about. We have a wonderful program we work with. It's called SnowX. And their whole thing is snow around the world. I mean, it's all part of the hydrologic cycle, right? But it's very special. And they generally tend to get students who live in places like Alaska because they're way into snow. You know, I mean, so I would pick maybe a dozen and just read through the long description. And if it looks like something that you think you'd be interested in doing, go ahead and apply. But you're right, there are so many of them, and I would weed them out a little bit by, to be honest, where they are. Maybe you don't want to spend your summer in Florida. I don't know, maybe you do, but you know, I mean, when I was a student, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I could do that. It's so hot. But anyway, it's a little bit of a trial by, you know, like fire or whatever to plow through all those, but it's good. There's lots of opportunities.
Thank you.
Sorry to call you out, but I used to be a middle school teacher myself, Sativa. So, you know, I'm like, I'm going to call people out.
Fun times for sure.
Well,
They keep you on your toes.
Well,
keep you on your toes.
Yeah, this is true. Keep you awake anyway. That would be my thing with my students. Okay, I'm going to always call on the person that looks like they're not paying any attention.
Never a dull moment.
Yeah. Hard to do that in a Zoom meeting, though, since most of us don't have our screens turned on. Okay, anything else? Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, Lisa, I was just going to say that IPI is looking for an intern this summer. So I don't think I mentioned that. Well, do you have that link available, Lisa, for our internship? I can see if I find the name of it.
Yes.
But if any of you on the call are interested in what we do, our internship is virtual. And I believe the name of it is...
I'm looking on my other screen because I know you sent me an email about it and I put it into my spreadsheet.
Yeah, of course. Let's see. Okay, so it's...
Go ahead.
Sorry, it's based at AIMS, but it is a virtual internship. And the short title is Indigenous Peoples Initiative Outreach. If I give them the identification number, will that help them find it?
Absolutely. They can just search by the number, which is a lot simpler.
Okay, I'll put that in the chat.
Right. You know, it's funny, and I don't know if anybody else has questions, but NASA is a huge organization, but in many ways, it's kind of like your family because you know people and they know people, and everybody's always really willing to reach out and help you get information and, you know, help you on your track. And so I was so grateful that I had Sativa on because we had worked together, you know, on the program in the past. And so it's a very supportive environment and very accommodating for different people's needs. And I've been with NASA on and off for the last 10 years in several different roles. My background is in education and environmental science, and have made some wonderful connections and friendships with the folks that I work with. Okay, and Savannah says something, but I can't read it because I'm nearsighted.
It's a question to me. I could apply for this without citizenship, or would it also require it? So Savannah, unfortunately, since we're not through JPL, we wouldn't be able to offer for a non-US citizen. But as I mentioned, there's other ways to still connect with us. We go to a variety of conferences, Indigenous focus. So if you're there, you know, absolutely love to talk to you about your interests. If you want to follow up directly with me to, you know, discuss some of your career ideas, or, you know, if you have any questions, I'm open to doing that. I'm so sorry that is just a restriction that we have for that internship opportunity.
I know that there's folks who are working on this little problem, this little conundrum. It's just we're not quite to that point yet. And there are, you know, the whole, you know, Earth systems, remote sensing, GIS, all those areas. There's a number of internships that kind of focus on those. And I know some students that wasn't really their study area, but they really wanted to gain expertise because they felt like it would make a difference in the work they planned to do. So maybe, you're looking at acquiring skills in, I don't know, machine learning or something like that. We had a student last year and she went to work with the ICE satellite folks, and she and her mentor developed an app to kind of take the information. And this is, Sativa's probably got the same thing. And then they went out and they field tested it with a group of students in Maryland. And so she really got the opportunity to go out and work with people on a project that had a beginning and end during her internship. And it was really cool. I think we're coming down to the end of this. I'm going to do one last call for either questions online or questions by talking, questions in real time. Taylor, how will these folks be able to get I know they'll see the, they'll be able to get the recording. How will they be able to get the PowerPoint if they want the PowerPoint?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I am recording the webinar right now, so we'll have it posted onto our AISES website. But as far as the presentation, I'm not sure if you want me to send it out to them or if you just want them to view it through the YouTube channel. But
if it's running, the only thing is, my QR code, they can just click on it there. And then the links, if you type them in, they'll become links anyway. So I think that would be fine.
Okay, perfect. Sounds great. Well, that was an awesome chat. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining this informational session. And thank you to Lisa and Sativa on your insight. And that was just amazing. And I hope everyone does get a chance to apply to those internships. So thank you so much. And yeah, just a reminder, this will be posted on the YouTube channel. And if you do have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to Lisa. Or you can reach out to me. I don't have my email on there, but yeah, thank you so much.
And thank you, Taylor. This was really great.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Thank you.